Hey guys, it's James here, and today I'm just going to be doing a quick race report of a race that I've just ran this weekend, and that was the Hardmoors White Horse Half Marathon. Let's jump straight in. So I'm just a couple of days out from the race, and I just wanted to kind of do a video with my thoughts on the race, talking about my training, my kit, things like that, while it was all still fresh in my mind. So let's jump into the training before the race and how I got there. I've had quite a while to train for this race. I booked a good while ago, almost a year ago I think, and we've known it's coming for a while, so I have been getting out with specific training for it. I've been doing longer runs than I have done before. I've been doing longer time spent out on my feet. I've been trying to get in some hills and some elevation. This is the longest race I've ever done. It's called a half marathon, but the final distance was about 26.5 kilometres, so quite a bit over a standard half. Up until this point I've only run a half marathon twice before, once in a race and once in training. So we knew from the start this was going to be a bit of a big challenge. So most of our training has been run-walk. We've been running for 3 minutes at a time and then walking for 1 minute, just to try and keep a nice even pace and to try and keep some energy in our legs for a bit longer, and that seems to have worked pretty well. The race has about 500 metres of ascent all in all. It wasn't super technical, there wasn't big kind of mountain climbs, there wasn't really technical single track with switchbacks or anything like that, but there was some quite steep downhills and some quite steep uphills towards the end of the race. I trained for this race with my girlfriend. We did most of our training together and we ran together the whole time. We did a lot of our training through the winter this year, so a lot of it was in muddy conditions, was in snowy conditions, windy conditions, which we felt were really great for toughening us up and probably will be for future races. But one of the main problems I had during the race was the heat. So it was about 22 degrees centigrade when we ran the race on the weekend, and really sunny the whole time as well, really humid, and we just hadn't really had much chance to train in that kind of weather. Although we kept our pace fairly conservative, we had water, we were refuelling as best we could, the heat just really started to get to us towards the end of the race, and that's one of the main things that slowed us down. I even experienced some mild kind of heat stroke symptoms later on in the night. I had a really bad headache. I felt really sick and really tired for quite a few hours after the race had finished. So that wasn't ideal. I'm not sure what we could have done more to prepare for that, as we hadn't had the hot weather beforehand and hadn't had the opportunity to train in it. I guess just being fitter and having a better kind of cardio base might have helped. I mean, I was drinking a lot of water. I was wearing a cap, I was dipping that in streams and dousing that with water at aid stations the best I could. So I think that was just one of those things where sometimes you can't control everything on the day. The course itself was absolutely beautiful. It's based from Sutton Bank near Thirsk in the north of England in Yorkshire, and the scenery was just amazing. Big green valleys, cliffs, lakes, rolling kind of farmland. It was really gorgeous, so at least there were some nice things to look at on the course and really enjoy those. There was quite a mixture of terrain. There was kind of fire roads, there was gravel paths, there was single track through woods, so that was quite good. You didn't get used to just one type of terrain for the whole time, and mixing the terrain up, I found that easier on my legs. I'd hate to run a whole distance on concrete, because that pounding on the legs, that same repetitive motion, I just find personally really tough. We did really well up until about 17-18 kilometres, and then we both started to suffer with some cramps, some tightness. I was really suffering in my hips and my calves, so I was struggling on the downhills with some hip tightness, not being able to flex those properly, and the uphills I was struggling with my calves cramping anytime we tried to do anything more than a shuffle. So we kind of ran on as best we could, and from about 20 kilometres a lot of what we did was power hiking to get to the finish. But we were really strong throughout. We kept a really decent pace and we came in just over 4 hours, literally like 30 seconds over 4 hours, and that was my kind of goal time for the course. I was thinking I'd probably be up towards 4.5 hours, 5 hours. So to get so close to 4 hours, we were really pleased with that. That did put us towards the back of the field, but that was fine. It was the longest distance I've ever run. I always knew that we weren't going to be, up there competing. It was more of a, let's see if we can do this, let's try and get through it race, and then hopefully I can build on that in the future and get a little bit faster and a little bit, better as I go along. The kit that I wore for the race was fairly simple. I had my club vest on, just some lightweight shorts, and an Innovate cap, one of the foldable ones that you can flatten down. As my pack, I had the Everdict 10 litre trail running pack, which there is a review of on the channel there if you want to check that out. It was only a fairly small mandatory kit list as it was a summer race. We just had to have waterproof jacket, something to carry water, that kind of things. So I had a fairly lightweight pack, but again really comfortable. Didn't feel like it impacted my running at all. So on my feet I had the Topo Athletic Mountain Racers, which again I've fairly recently reviewed. They worked really well, really grippy when I needed them to be, and nice and padded on those harsher road sections so my feet didn't get all mashed up. I wore Injinji toe socks underneath them, and I also used some rock tape, blister tape, just underneath my toe socks to avoid any kind of hot spots or any rubbing. That all worked really well for me. Blisters is something I've really struggled with before in races, and I came out of this race with no blisters at all, so I was super pleased with that. That wasn't something that I had to worry about. Moving forward, I have a lot more races booked towards the end of the year. I really enjoyed the Hardmoors races. All the other competitors were great. The kind of check-in, the staff, the volunteers at the checkpoints were absolutely brilliant. Everyone was super friendly. The course was well marked, and the atmosphere was great. Everyone was having a really good time. So I've signed up for another Hardmoors race, and that is the Gothland Hardmoors Half in November. Slightly shorter distance wise. I think it comes out at about 25 kilometres. But it's notoriously tough in winter conditions. It's quite often really boggy and really muddy on the course, so that should be interesting, should be a fun challenge. But I think I should be in decent fitness for that, as that's November. In September I have the Keswick Mountain Festival 25 kilometre race, and in October I have a Lakeland Trails 15 kilometre in Coniston, so I should be in decent fitness around that time. I'm hoping I can definitely get sub 4 hours, maybe somewhere towards 3.5 hours, but it'll really depend on the weather on the day. There's a few things to take from this race. More time on the feet is needed, I think, so we don't get cramps. Maybe some more hills in the legs, again just for that muscular endurance on the longer efforts. But really I'm super proud of how I did and how my girlfriend did. As it was the longest race that either of us had ever done, and we got through it successfully. We stuck to our pacing plan. The time we got was what we were hoping for, and we finished it very, very tired but injury free, which is obviously what we were aiming for. I'll be focusing on the half marathon distance for the next year or so, I think. I've got a couple of shorter obstacle races and a few other 5Ks and events like that scattered in between. So that's it for now. I finished the weekend. I got myself a nice t-shirt. I got myself a nice medal, which you can see back there somewhere. And yeah, super proud of myself. Kind of going to pat myself on the back for once and really appreciate it when I have done something I'm proud of. What are you training for at the moment? Is there a race that you're pushing yourself a little bit? Is it a 5K? Are you pushing to an ultramarathon? Let me know if there's something you're training for. As always, keep moving forward, and I'll see you out on the trails.